Yeah.
And I'll let you know that this meeting is being recorded. Your video and audio contributions may be used for club marketing purposes. We remind you, since this is a multinational, multicultural club, to be sensitive of other people's feelings. Try not to hurt anybody's feelings. Um, and be aware of things that you say may have implications for the world beyond, which you'll find out after you say the wrong thing. I think that's fair to say. I'm your president, David Carr. I was the founder of this club and have been honored to return for a second stint through the end of the year. Try and get things on a good track. We are working on organizing a webinar contest, which several members of this club have already volunteered to participate in. In fact, I have advertised it as will be closed to new contestants by early January, or as soon as we get 10 contestants. We might already have 10 contestants or very close to it. So far, I've heard from Andriy, Kim, Kirthikka, Sonny, and Gregory are interested in competing for my club. And you better let me know pretty soon if somebody else here wants to compete on behalf of our club. And then from outside the club, we have Jessica Breitenfeld, who some of you remember was somebody who competed previously. Mansour Hasib, who won our last invitational webinar contest, and Louise Ravim, who's somebody Jim and I know from South Florida, who would have competed if he'd found out about it earlier. He found out about the last minute last time. And so he's planning to be here this time. So I'm going to double confirm with some of those people. But if anybody else from a club wants to be a competitor, speak up now, speak up soon. Now there is some possibility, and actually there is a chance, because we think we'll only have time for 6 competitors on the night of the actual contest. We will have a screening based on a recorded video. So some of you, there's a potential that some of you might get bumped out, even though you volunteered to speak. But then again, you have a few weeks in which you can record a dynamite speech that you gave here at the club and make that your submission so that you solidify your place in line. So that is the plan so far. Actually, I'm a little bit disappointed that it's filling up so fast, because last time we were able to use the fact that we were appealing for new people to compete as something to keep the drumbeat of publicity going. But there is also virtue. One of the marketing gurus talks about the red velvet rope theory of making something attractive, which is making it available to a limited number of people so that people want to be in that circle, right? So excluding some people is actually good from that point of view. I don't want to see any of you bumped, but these are the rules we've announced, and we'll stick to them. I've talked to some outside people. One of the things we did early on with the webinar contest was we had celebrity guest judges who came in, who were well-known Toastmasters or speakers. Percy Guataco may serve in that capacity. I'm also talking to Cheryl Rausch, who many of you know is a very well-known Toastmasters district circuit speaker, and has helped out the club several times in the past as well as Roger Corville, who was one of our very first invited guests, teaching us about online specific presentation technique. So having some of those people, we'll see who we can actually get nailed down and roped in, but it's going to be a lot of fun. With that, I would like to turn things over to our Toastmaster of the day, Kim Leeming, who I understand has some surprises in store for us. because we don't know the word of the day. We were told it would be announced during the meeting. But the theme of the day, well, I'll let Kim explain.
Thank you, Mr. President, David Carr, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's edition of Online Presenters Meeting. Are you ready to start the meeting? I am. Okay, game shows is the theme for tonight's meeting. Game shows have been around for nearly as long as broadcasting itself. In 1923, a daily newspaper started the first ever game show with a radio show called the Brooklyn Eagle Quiz on current events. Then in the late 1930s, Truth or Consequences took game shows to a whole new level, still on radio. That's why when commercial television began in 1941, the programming lineup included a special broadcast of Truth or Consequences on the very first day of broadcast. In 1955, the $64,000 question began. It was the biggest quiz show the world had ever seen. However, it was later revealed that some contestants were given the answers ahead of time. This caused the big money quiz show to collapse, and laws were passed to prevent the rigging of quiz shows in the future. In 1983, Wheel of Fortune replaced their previous host with Pat Sajak and Vanna White and introduced a nighttime version that became the biggest hit in syndication history. Tonight, I'd like to share a Toastmaster version of this iconic game show. It is called Wheel of Online. Oh, here we go. No. Wheel of Online Presenters. Do you hear it? Okay. Wow. All right. We can do this without sound. I'm not sure why it's not playing. So for round one.
Now we're
you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Actually, we're going to go to round two because Henry Kruger is not here. So for the first round, what we're going to do is we are going to pick, how about our guest? So Tiger, would you like to do round two, which should be round one, which is going to reveal the word of the day for tonight? Are you ready to play Wheel of Online Presenters?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. All right, so this is, again, the word of the day. And so we're going to start by spinning the wheel. So we will spin. And okay, for $500 a letter, go ahead and guess a letter.
So I'm confused. Why are A, I, O? Oh, those are the. I'm going to take an A.
Okay, so you need to have $250 to buy a vowel. So you need to actually pick a letter, and then you can buy a vowel.
Okay. I will pick the letter M.
M. Sorry, there are no M's. Let's go ahead and spin again. Okay, for $300. Can you go ahead and pick a letter?
It's still my turn?
It's your turn the whole time till you get it.
Oh my God. We will be here forever.
It's a game, you can't lose.
How about the letter L?
L. Oh my gosh. You guys, there's almost every letter in there. Okay, let's just go ahead and I guess I still need to spin. So why don't you tell me what your next guess is? So what is your next letter?
Graham, help me out here. I'm striking out. Give me a
S
letter.
S is the most common letter.
Okay.
What is it?
S.
S. Oh my God, I don't think there's an S. Okay, what's this is hilarious. What is another letter that you would like to guess? Let this spin.
This is based on the theme of
This is the word of the day. You're gonna
Okay,
reveal the
sure.
word of the day.
How about a T?
T, that will work, I'm pretty sure. Yes, there are 4 T's. Okay, next letter. Oops. Oh, do you want to buy a vowel now? So Tiger, would you like to buy a vowel?
Sure, let's buy a vowel. Let's buy an A. Let's buy A.
Yes.
no
Yes,
A's.
there are 4 A's. Okay. So now, I'm going to have you buy another vowel, an E. Okay. Yes, there are 10 E's. Okay, and now let's spin again. And you're going to guess D this time. D as in Delta.
How about the letter D?
Good choice. Okay, so yes, there are 5 D's. All right, let's buy one more vowel. And then you should be pretty close to hopefully being able to solve this.
Let's get an O.
Oh, okay, we can buy an O2. Sorry, I already pressed that, so
Oh, that's more the better.
buy an O.
Hmm.
Okay, let's spin.
Hey, Jim, this is you. Pitch in here, Jim.
N.
N is a good one. There are 4 N's.
Underrated.
No. Well, it's undefeated and something of
Okay,
Oh,
yes, it is
she did the D's
undefeated.
already, and the D's.
Undefeated.
Undefeated. The next word is here. Let me
Adventurer.
oh, you guys are so close. I'm gonna give you the F. You already got undefeated, so let's and one more. Does anybody have it yet?
Give me a B.
B.
It is in there, so here you go. B. Did it do it? B. Yes, there is 1 B. All right, I'm going to give you another word. I mean, another letter. It's going to be J. Well, I'll tell you the second, instead of that, H. And the second word, oh, it's making me spin again.
Can I solve it?
Yes, if you can, please.
Go for it.
Undefeated. Hang on, I'll need to get the undefeated, an adjective, not having been defeated.
Yay! The first winner
okay.
ever of Wheel of Online Presenters. Good job. Okay, so now we'll move on to the meeting.
Oh my.
So that didn't go as seamlessly as I had hoped. So let's get back to the meeting. And our meetings consist of 4 main parts. The first part of the meeting is the tip of the day. This is a 3 to 5 minute presentation of a technical technique or leadership. The second part is the prepared speeches. The third part is table topics. This is the impromptu speaking portion of the meeting. Well, I see what I did wrong. Sorry. Where we practice speaking off the cuff. Often, these lead to hilarious results. I'm just going to have to read my. And the final part of the meeting is the evaluation portion of the meeting. Each speaker will receive an evaluation. This is a great opportunity for all of us to learn from the actionable feedback each speaker receives. After these valuable evaluations, the general evaluator will also give us an overall meeting evaluation. It may seem like the Toastmaster a day runs the show, but it's actually a team effort. I will now introduce tonight's volunteer. They will each have 1 minute to describe their role for tonight's meeting. Our timer for tonight is Sunny Fridge. So nice to see your smiling face again, Sunny. Sunny, would you please tell us your duties as timer?
Thank you, Madam Timer. I need to pull my video up. What I will be doing is timing this meeting. And when I time the meeting at the minimum time, you will see the green signal. And then after that, you will see the yellow signal. And finally, when you see the red, you have 30 seconds to wrap up. There are 2 speeches today, and one will be 5 to 7, and the other one will be 2 minutes to 3 minutes. And evaluations, at 2 minutes, you'll see the green. At 2:30, you will see the yellow. And at 3 minutes, you will see the red. That's my report. And I will be actually giving you that report when called upon. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sunny. Next up is our owl counter, which is Tiger for tonight. Tiger, could you please describe your duties tonight?
Like I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. I will be counting those types of fillers that are not needed in your speaking and maybe even distracting. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger. Next up is our grammarian, Marianne. Marianne. Oh, I was going to ask you to play a game, but we already did that, and it took a long time. So can you please tell us your duties for tonight, as well as resharing the word of the day?
I did put the word of the day in the chat, undefeated. Please use it when you can. As the grammarian, I will be listening to how you use the English language. I'll be looking for great vocabulary, grammatical gems, and even some misuses of the English language. I will also be doing table topics tonight. Kim gave me a quick call right before the meeting, and so doubling up tonight. So back to you, Kim.
Thank you, Marianne. Next up, we have our watcher as well as our chat monitor, because another double duty. Both these roles are being filled by Andy Byrne. Andy, could you please tell us your duties as both chat monitor and watcher for tonight?
The chat monitor's role is to keep their eye focused on the meeting chat section and to see if there was useful information, grammatically correct information, or no information at all, just filler space. The other is the watcher. The watcher's role is to see how you look within that frame of yours. And each of us have a frame and have done something with them. I will report on that by being called on by the general evaluator. Back to you.
Thank you, Andy. Next up, we have our vote counter for tonight, and that is David Carr. David, could you please tell us about your role for today?
As the meeting rolls along, I will be dropping links in the chat, which you can click on to vote for the best or most improved speaker, evaluator, table topics person, whatever else we decide to vote on. And I will count the votes and announce the winners at the end.
Thank you, David. This brings us to the tip of the day. Tonight's tip of the day will be a pre-recorded video presented by Sunny Fridge. take it away, Sunny. You're muted, Sunny.
Thank you so much. I will need access to share my screen, please. So you have to take the audio off.
That
I-
should be, oh,
I cannot start the screen share because you have that spotlight audio thing going on.
Kim, can you stop sharing what you were sharing previously?
Thanks. Uh-oh.
I think it might
Yeah,
allow
we'll
you
see.
to
I'm-
start sharing and it'll
Yeah.
just bump her. No?
No, it won't let me while the other participant is sharing unless you give me
Well,
the.
it's actually, I think I can do it. I
Yeah,
can-
Yeah, I was going to say, David, you should be able to. There it goes.
Okay. Try now.
All right, I'm going to try now. And yes, I do see that I can share my screen. I'm going to have to do it kind of backward. Let's see if I can get to where I need to go. I see where I need to go. So I'm going to share my screen the old-fashioned way. And can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right, here we go. This was done in Big View, and it's my top 3 tips for overcoming nervousness during a presentation. Are you a shy speaker who deals with nervousness? Does your heart race, your palms get sweaty, and your mouth get dry at the mere thought of presenting? Is it hindering your ability to get more clients or job opportunities? Hello, I'm Dr. Sunny Fridge, a presentation coach and co-founder and CEO of Speak and Shine. I'm a former TV reporter and producer, and I'm passionate about using my experience to help shy speakers get confident on stage. In this video, I'll share my top 3 tips for controlling nervousness during a presentation. And stick around for the end of this video. I have a bonus tip you can use every time you step on stage. Before I get to these tips, tell me in the comments below, what nervous habit do you deal with when you give a presentation? My first tip for controlling nervousness during a presentation is all about harnessing the power of visualization. Before stepping on that stage, take a moment to close your eyes and picture yourself in front of your audience. See yourself confidently delivering your speech, connecting with your audience, and making a positive impact. Remember, your audience is eager to hear what you have to say, and they're rooting for you. Visualizing success not only boosts your confidence, but it also sets a positive tone for your speech. My second tip for controlling nervousness, take deep breaths. It may sound simple, but trust me, it works wonders. When you feel those nerves creeping in, try the candle exercise. Inhale deeply through your nose. Imagine you're taking in the calming fragrance of a scented candle. Then exhale slowly through your mouth, as if you're gently blowing out that candle flame. Deep breathing helps calm your racing heart. It relaxes your body and clears your mind of anxious thoughts. Practice this exercise before and during your presentation, and you will feel more composed and centered. My third tip for controlling nervousness is all about shifting the focus from yourself to your audience. Engaging your audience is a powerful way to ease your nerves. At the beginning of your presentation, ask your audience a question related to your topic. This not only encourages participation, but it also gives you a moment to gather your thoughts. Or share a relevant quote or anecdote. A well-timed quote or quick story can set the tone for your speech and instantly connect you with your listeners. Today, I've shared 3 tips, but wait, there's more. Here's a bonus tip to conquer dry mouth during speeches. Dry mouth happens when your mouth doesn't produce enough saliva. Your mouth becomes so dry, it makes your lips stick to your teeth, and it's hard to enunciate or pronounce your words properly. First, Stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water before and during your presentation. And here's a secret I learned from a Toastmaster. It helps me when I get nervous during speech competitions. Apply a dab of Vaseline on your front teeth before presenting. It locks in moisture, and that helps reduce friction between the lips and teeth so that your voice sounds smooth and confident when you speak. Even the most seasoned speakers get nervous before a presentation. The key is to acknowledge those nerves and channel them into positive energy. With these 3 tips, visualize success, take deep breaths, and engage your audience, you'll be able to unleash your inner presenter and watch as your client list grows and your opportunities multiply. I hope you found these tips helpful. For more tips and solutions to avoid the dreaded dry mouth, check out my tip sheet. You can find the link to it in the description below. Until next time, keep practicing and improving. I'm Dr. Sunny. Remember, it's your time to speak and shine. And there you have it. 3 tips to overcome nervousness. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Sunny. Darcy, is this how the dry mouth syndrome will look? Thank you so much for your tips. That was wonderful. We are now entering into the prepared speeches portion of the meeting. Our first speaker tonight is Kirthikka Devi Venkataram. Anyway, Kirthikka. Kirthikka's speech is titled Flying in a Hidden Storm. This is from Dynamic Leadership Level 5, Demonstrating Expertise, High Performance Leadership First Speech. This speech narrates the chain of incidents based on a true story where the crisis created an opportunity to learn about building better leaders. Please welcome Kirthikka Devi Venkataram, Flying in a Hidden Storm.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kim Lee-Ming. I would just like to confirm if the screen is visible.
Yes.
I'll just start. Flying in a hidden storm. This is a true story. February 14, 2007. A glittering Valentine's Day to the world. The hell and crisis was encountered for Blue Jet employees and for more than 130,000 customers in 9 planes who got stuck on a runway in the John F. Kennedy Airport. They were sitting for more than 5 hours inside the plane on the run. Left with few employees to handle the crisis, the JetBlue Airlines had no other option but to cancel the rest of the 1,096 flights over the next 5 days. Why was a storm brewed? It all started with a winter ice storm, which was predicted to become a rain. With this prediction in mind, JetBlue, being one of the low-cost airlines that provided competitive fares, friendly service, and leather seats with television, captured the market that had the guts to brew the storm, flying their flights. Founded in 1999, the airlines had grown, frequently topping the customer surveys, being their own favorite airlines. But this 2007 Valentine's Day incident drew the spectators to dig more, analyzing the operational strategy. The then CEO, David Milliman, called it the worst operational week in JetBlue's 7 years of history. Let's create a pedagogical objective of this particular worst case scenario. Considering the fact the operating system and the functional strategy which was happening on February 13, 2007, the day before the event, let's dig deeper into it. Finding or digging more into it, they were able to find a broken web, a low-cost solution that works well until thousands of passengers were need to rebook at once. The JFK airport did not have the self-service rebooking facility by that time. This gave an opportunity to analyze more about the working model of the JFK's workforce. The agents were involved in booking mainly that were working at flexible hours. So the workforce were dispersed that made them difficult to identify the crisis. The operations were stalled till 19th February and the operations were restored only on 20th February. That made to cripple the economy for 7 days. Now, a logical question arises to me as a spectator. How did the CEO react? What did the leader do to restore customers' confidence? The then CEO, David Milliman, apologized publicly to over 130,000 customers who were affected by the cancellation, delays, and diversion. He also offered varying levels of compensation. For example, people who were stuck for more than 3 hours, they were given full refund, and they were also provided a round-trip journey, which was absolutely free. On February 21st, JetBlue issued Customer Bill of Rights, the policy that offered explicit compensation for a variety of departures. This was for all the delays and for the on-ground delays. This being a short-term goal to achieve that was learned during the crisis. How did the leadership team target on the long-term goal? How did the crisis was dealt to mitigate risk? The then CIO, Charles Meese, was handling to restore the situation. The then CEO narrowed down to the public in a press meet saying there were many people in the control room, but they weren't able to handle the situation because they were not trained well. Similarly, there were a lot of flight attendants and pilots sitting in the hotel rooms, but they could not be of any help. This made the CIO to introduce a new human resource management and information system, creating a database to track the crew location and their contact information. This was later stabilized to allow the crew to update the employees that could assist in any future crisis from a nearby JFK airport. The CEO also focused on training or providing a cross-functional training to 900 employees that would serve the purpose. So there was a clear implicit and explicit trade-off built in this operating model. Perfecting the operating model was again a growth opportunity for the company. So how did they counterweight at the time of crisis? A noteworthy deduction and learning from this mishappening and a trade-off mechanism handled by the leadership team was a great food for the thought. It was the ethical leadership style that they handled. The leader's choice of being transparent, championing the customers, formalizing and structuring operational strategy. They possessed integrity and doing right in words and action. Thus, there is a lot to learn from the high-performing leadership team. Yes, the story still continues. Over to you, Toastmaster Kim.
Thank you, Kirthikka. I couldn't unmute myself or get my video on for some reason as you finished. Wonderful speech. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. Our second speaker for tonight is Andriy Smolenko. Andrey's speech is titled The Power of Humor in Impromptu Speech. This is from Engaging Humor Level 4. Andriy will deliver two 2 to 3 minute speeches. When he is ready to begin, the first of his speeches, the Toastmaster of the day, that would be me, will select a topic from the Impromptu Speech Topics resource. Each of Andrey's speeches must last 2 to 3 minutes and include at least one anecdote that is related to the topic. When the first speech is complete, Andriy will deliver a second 2 to 3 minute speech on a new topic. Both topics are selected at random and without Andrey's prior knowledge. Impromptu speech topic number 1. You have unexpectedly won an award or other recognition, or maybe even a game show. You are asked to say a few words. Please welcome Andriy Smolenko, the power of humor in an impromptu speech.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the evening, my fellow online presenters. And what an honor for me to deliver this speech, because I won an award. Have you ever thought about the speech you could deliver? Have you ever been in the situation when you won an award? Of course, we all have. And one of the awards that I won recently, it was Not So Smelly Dad from my children. You can probably ask me, how is that possible for a dad to be not so smelly? I tell you a story. I'm a single dad and I have 2 children to look after, live with me full time. And recently I changed my shampoo. I choose one of those nice, really expensive Christmassy smells. Before that, I used just an ordinary shampoo that you can buy from the counter at any stores. So my daughter noticed the smell. Of course, women do. As a 16-year-old, she was like, Dad, what kind of nice smell that is. I want to use it as well. And my son is a little bit less elaborate. He's 12 years old, almost teenager, said, Dad, congratulations, you're not so smelly anymore. And my fellow online presenters, receiving that precious award from my son made me think, is it really that important that from time to time we just buy ourselves those little treats? As in my case, I treat myself to that wonderful new smell. The other day, I buy a new tea, and the next day, I could probably treat my children going not in McDonald's, but Kentucky Fried Chicken. You see, in my speech to my daughter and to my son, I didn't say anything. I just hugged them and I say, thank you. Thank you very much for noticing the new thing in my life. I would say the message from that story to me that I want to share with you is treat yourself to those little things that can change your life, not for the whole time, but in that right moment, in that right time, you can smell nice, you can taste new food, you can take your wife on extravagant holidays. Just let yourself do it. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Andriy. That not too many dads can say that they've received the Not So Smelly Dad Award. That is quite prestigious, as you said. Awesome. We now move on to Andrey's second impromptu speech. So, Andriy, topic number 2. There is a sudden thunderstorm at a picnic for a large family reunion. Everyone is stuck in a gazebo. You decide to speak for a few minutes to entertain the group while the rain passes. Please welcome Andriy Smolenko back to the virtual stage. The Power of Humor in an Impromptu Speech, Part 2.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the evening, my fellow online presenters. And I'm doing humorous pass on Toastmaster International. And one of the hardest things that I found is learn how to be humorous. And in this current topic, I need to entertain a number of people who are clearly not having a good time. And the tip I learned from the past is that if you really want to be humorous, you better be prepared. It's been recommended to me, as to anyone who is going through the past, keep a journal, keep a diary of possible speeches you can deliver off the cuff. And I've been keeping the diary. I have a number of speeches I would like to share with you. For example, one of them is Irish Dancing Toastmasters Club. Well, yes. And I went to the club where it was all formal, all nice, everyone got together, and the room next door, there were Irish dancers. Oh my God. That was experience I will never forget. As we are sitting here in the gazebo, imagine the bunch of elephants thumping and tromping and thumping and tromping again, and we still just get on with our lives. The other really, I would say, interesting story that I put in my journal was a bungee jumping proposal. Yes, you've heard me right. A bungee jumping proposal of marriage. I've done it a number of times. No, not proposing at the bungee jumping, but just being there. And one guy decided to surprise his wife-to-be. And when he got elevated by the crane in the cradle on the height about, I would say 60 to 70 meters, about 30, 40 stories building, and then he popped the question, stood on one knee, and he reached out, and on his hand was the ring. And then we at the ground below, everyone went like, yeah, go for it. They grab each other and they jump. And then when the crane lowered them down, you should have seen the face of that wife-to-be. She was not happy. She was scared. But we all had a really good laugh. So when you keep that little diary of yours about the stories you could share, even if you're sitting in the gazebo on your family worst day, remember, grab out the diary and just tell the story. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Andriy. Maybe this bungee jumping proposal will become a thing. It sounds like a lot of fun to me. So our timer for tonight is Sunny Fridge. Sunny, could you please give a timer's report for the two speeches?
Madam Toastmaster of the day, our first speaker, Kirthikka, spoke for 7 minutes and 25 seconds. Our second speaker, Andriy Smolenko, spoke for 3 minutes and 5 seconds and 3 minutes and 13 seconds. So they both have qualified. Back to you.
Thank you, Sunny. And if you could go ahead and post the times in the chat, that'd be great. But thank you so much for your report. Now, if everyone could please take a moment to cast your vote for the best speaker of the day, that would be great. Please send your vote to the vote counter, which is David Carr. We are now moving on to the table topics / impromptu speaking portion of the meeting. Tonight's table topic master stepped up at the last moment, and it's Marianne Grady. So I am sure that we're in for a very fun table topic session. Please welcome Marianne to the virtual stage.
Why, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I am Marianne Grady here for your Holiday Hijinks Table Topics game show. Now, what is that? Well, table topics is where we practice our impromptu speaking skills. But tonight, since the theme is game shows, I made up a game. So you're going to really have to pay attention to follow the rules. I will message the participant a secret holiday vocabulary word. No one else will see the word but you. Then I will ask you a table topics question out loud for everyone to hear. It's your job to talk and either answer the question but you have 1 to 2 minutes. And the trick is you cannot use the word I sent you. You have to get people to guess what it is. So say things and people will guess the word when you're done. And audience members, so when the table topic is complete, put your guess in the chat. So I'm going to give you an example, and I will give you the word up front this time, but this word would have come to me secretly, and I just put it in the chat so you get used to seeing it like that. And it's talk about a holiday memory that brings a smile to your face. So one tradition I remember clearly is opening up the Christmas decoration box and looking for the one that had my name on it. Once we found it, we got to hang them up by the fireplace, and Santa always filled them with all kinds of trinkets and baubles for both myself and my sisters. As an adult, I carried this tradition with my own children, and it was so much fun shopping for things that would just delight them. So luckily, I never had any coal in mine, though my parents often threatened that if I didn't improve my behavior. Back to you, Table Topics Master. So you see the word, I'm just putting it up there just so you kind of get the idea. Does anyone have any questions? All right, I'm going to start with Mr. Graham. And I just texted him a word privately. Now, Graham, your question is tell us about your favorite traditions when decorating for the holidays.
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. The holidays in Australia are, of course, in the reverse season to most of you. For most of you, of course, the things that are important are, well, around traditions that are Northern Hemisphere related. For example, there is snow, which is meant to be represented by baubles. There are stars, which are meant to be represented by lights or by candles. There are all sorts of items which need to be decorated around the centre of your holiday joy. But for Australia, we instead choose to do something somewhat different because it is summer for our holidays, because it is summer for our Christmas, because December the 25th is in fact in the second hottest month of the year in Australia. We don't have things where we get a piece of nature and cut its throat and allow it to die in the corner of our house. Instead, we are much more likely to get some sort of bough from some sort of plant and stick it in the corner of our house and decorate that, because that is the highlight for us of our Christmas decorations. Madam Topics Master.
Well, thank you, sir. Everyone in the chat, what do you think Graham is trying to tell us about? At the end, what I'll do is I'll let you all know who was successful in getting their message across. Well, next up is Mr. David Carr. David, I sent you a text with a word. Now, your question is, do you have a favorite Christmas song?
I'm trying to figure out if I understand the rules here, but do I have a favorite Christmas song? Well, silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city. That would be up there. I mean, I like all the old ones, all the Bing Crosby stuff, the Andy Williams stuff. And so, and we have that playing around the house. You know, there are all sorts of songs about sleigh bells jingling, ding ding dingling, and we must pay attention to them. Well, we can't avoid paying attention to them if we go to a shopping mall, because they're going to be assaulting us from all sides, and the underlying subliminal message, of course, is buy, 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 buy. But thinking of the joy of bells rattling in the Christmas and the bright, crisp, cold air, which I have to imagine, can only imagine from South Florida. But I remember it. I remember seeing my breath and listening to those sleigh bells jingling. Madam Topics Master.
Well, thank you, sir. Now, everyone take a guess at what was David talking about. Now, the next person who's going to be called upon is Mr. Andy Byrne. Andy, I just sent you your word, and you are not allowed to use this word when you're giving your topic. Do you have any systems to ensure that you get everything done during the holiday season?
Thank you very much, Marianne, for that question. I don't want to be undefeated in this game of yours, so I will think about what you mean. I think that very often one creates a series of reminders of things that you need to have accomplished. Some people use a different word for that, but for me, I'm bound by your rules. I can't use that word, but I will collect a number of reminders to get me straight on what's going on for the holidays, what gifts I have to get, what other tasks I have to be done. And you can use that with many different types of programs or just a straight piece of paper. Those are the things that I would do during this time period.
Okay, well, thank you kindly, sir. Now I am going to call upon.
By the way, the magic word was lists.
You're not supposed to tell everybody. They're supposed to guess.
I didn't hear anybody guessing or asking them to be guessing.
They're supposed to put it in the chat. Cracking me up. All right, let's see. I am going to send a word to Tiger, but I can't seem to get, there we go. Tiger, your word you have it now. And your question is, tell us what's important to you during the holiday season.
Presents, gifts for me. When I was a child, we had a traditional Christmas tree. Under that Christmas tree were, yes, presents. My brother and I would play the game, pick up the present, shake it, feel it, try to figure out what's in there. Drove my parents crazy. My dad's solution was put presents under the tree, and there was nothing in the box. Everything was in the closet. Now, my sisters, they were honest. They didn't engage in this. So their presents were actually real. So my brother and I changed the story. And we started guessing what they were going to get. And then we would tell them. So my father had to adjust his strategy and put their gifts in the closet also. So everything under the tree was fake. Table topics master.
Well, thank you, sir. Everyone guessed what you think Tiger was talking about. Now, Kim, do I have time for more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, Dr. Sunny, I am sending you a word. Now remember, you may not use this word in your table topics. Describe how Santa gets around the world to deliver gifts in just one night.
I didn't get the word.
Oh, it says it went through.
You have to guess it.
Play. Oh, I mean, sorry. I don't know. I didn't get the word yet. I don't see it from you.
I'll just send it again.
That's interesting. Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, you want to know how Santa gets around. Well, he gets around with the help of Rudolph and all the rest of the reindeer on this big old vehicle, but it's not like it's a car. And there are different definitions for this very word. And it's big enough to fill lots of toys for all the girls and boys, especially if you've been good. And he brings other things in this vehicle if you've been bad as well. I love that Santa never forgets me. And I look up at the rooftop and quick, 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 here comes Saint Nick down that chimney. And then he gets back into that vehicle and he gets to go all around the world for every boy and girl in this vehicle. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Sunny. Okay, well, that concludes our game for the evening, and I thank you all for participating. I will be posting, who was successful in getting their word across, and will there be prizes? Absolutely not. So sorry about that, but I hope you had fun. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I am so impressed that you took that the theme of the day on game shows and created a brand new table topics way of doing it. I just loved every single one. Thank you so much. Sunny Fridge is our timer. So Sunny, can you please provide a timer's report for the table topics?
Madam Toastmaster of the day, Graham, 133, David, 135, Andrew, 1 minute, Tiger, 119, and I was at 109. We all have qualified for table topics. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Sunny. Everyone, please go ahead and cast your vote for best table topics. That brings us to the next portion of our meeting, which is the evaluations. Our general evaluator for tonight is Jim Barber, I think, right? He will lead the evaluation portion. No.
That'd be me.
Oh, Graham Carnes. Graham will be leading the evaluation portion of the meeting. Please welcome Graham Carnes.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Let's get straight into the evaluations because that is, after all, the cornerstone of the Toastmasters experience. Our first speaker tonight was Kirthikka, and to provide an evaluation of her first speech in the High Performance Leadership Project, please provide us with an evaluation for between 2 and 3 minutes with an indication at 2, 2.5 and 3, please, Madam Timekeeper. Evaluator 1, David Carr.
Apologize for the delay in getting rolling. I believe you're in this club partly to advance yourself professionally. I don't know whether you're working on something like an MBA program, but this struck me as a business case study that you're presenting, and it was a good solid choice for that. You went through and methodically laid out the story of this business scenario. You know, every big organization has had some kind of customer service disaster somewhere along the line, and sometimes that is where they achieve excellence too, is by coming back from that and rebounding. And you gave us the example of the customer's bill of rights that came out of this. It was really just their branding for what they want to promise their customers that they ought to be entitled to. And any of us who have been through, a horrible customer service scenario, we know how much we can appreciate that if we can get that. Now, I do have some feedback on the actual visual presentation, which is one of the things that we often focus on here. And so I want to show you a little bit of what you were showing on screen as you went through this. It's actually this slide that I focused on a little bit more. And so at this point, you're starting to tell this story of the recovery from this customer service snafu. But one of the things that I noticed was that this slide stayed up on screen for a long time without changing. And these words are up there. And when you put words on a slide, people are going to read them. And so they're reading ahead to these things that you haven't actually gotten to in your story yet. And so I think always when a speaker uses slides, one of the questions I ask is, are the slides there for the audience, or are the slides there for the speaker? Are they there as their notes, as their outline that they're putting up on screen to remind them of where they are in their presentation? And we want it to be something that is visual and that is actually helpful to the audience. So two things there. Really time it so that it comes on screen where it's going to be meaningful where it's synced up with what you're saying. And also I tell people, don't think that your presentation, even if you're going to use slides, that it has to be all a slideshow presentation. Try and set things up so that you can talk to people a little bit at the beginning and at the end without necessarily relying on slides. And by the way, I thought this one was a better slide. This changed what we were seeing on screen and made some other points. I'll leave it at that. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, David. Thank you for that. And moving on to our second evaluation. This is by Jim, providing an evaluation of Andriy.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator and my fellow Toastmasters. Andriy, what a challenging project. This was terrific. It was basically a table topics type of thing. You were given a question and you had to respond to it. But it was different from table topics for several reasons. Number one, it was longer, and longer can be harder. It was 2 to 3 minutes instead of the table topics 1 to 2 minutes. And that additional time is a real challenge. Secondly, table topics are notorious, or at least I am, for not answering the question. It can wander off and you can basically say anything that you want to with table topics. You just simply respond. Here, you had to stay on topic. You had to answer the question. You had to stay on what they were describing. And you did that very well. But the third one is the most difficult of all, the most challenging, and that is you had to be humorous because this was from the humorous path. So you had to give a longer than table topics presentation, stay on topic, provide a story, give a speech, and make it funny all together. Challenging. And congratulations, you met the prospect, you met the challenge of this project. You did terrific. That was wonderful. You did this because you have already mastered the fundamentals. You didn't have to think about them, you just simply did them. Your gestures are fluid, they're congruent with what you're saying, they're natural. They just worked very, very nicely. Your vocal variety, it's conversational. You weren't speaking. It wasn't like you were reciting something. You were just simply talking to us. You do this by raising and lowering your volume, raising and lowering the pitch, all the things vocally. It varied from one moment to another, and which kept it interesting and kept everybody involved. You are a master of the pause. You know when to pause and for how long to pause. And when you're not pausing, your pace varied. This gets back to vocal variety. Sometimes you spoke a little faster, sometimes you slowed it down. Worked very, very well. And of course, on video, the important thing is that you maintain eye contact with the camera, talking to the camera, and you did that. You did that masterfully. So everything worked. You threw a bonus in there, and that was not requested, but you did it anyway. This was, in essence, a tip of the day. In your second presentation, you told us how to give a response like this, to have a journal, to keep a journal of stories and speeches so that when something comes along, you aren't caught off guard trying to think of something. You simply go to your mental journal and you come back with what you have already prepared. I have no suggestions for improvement. This was a masterful presentation, and I think everybody could study it and learn a lot from it. I want to close by saying that, like the puppet who lost his legs, he was undefeated. Mr. General Evaluator.
Oh, boo. Yes, that is one of my level of dad jokes there, Jim Barber. Thank you very much for that. I'm now not going to be defeated by the fact that we are running out of time. I am going to move on to the general evaluation, and I'll begin by calling on our various ancillary staff, people who did all sorts of stuff. For example, can I get first the timekeeper's report for the 2 evaluations from you, please, Sunny?
Mr. General Evaluator, Evaluator 1, David Carr, came in at 3:45, and Evaluator number 2, Jim Barber, 3:32. David.
So, under the rules, neither of you are eligible. We don't have to vote for a best evaluator.
Oh, no.
Boo. I mean, I could say you were both eligible since neither of you were, but no, we just won't bother. We'll leave David to not have to do a count for that. Okay, moving on.
Neither was undefeated.
Neither, yes. Can we have the grammarian's report? And our grammarian tonight was, I believe, being done by Marianne Grady.
Yes, sir. Sunny, shifting the focus from you to your audience. I thought that was a really terrific statement for us online presenters. Kirthikka, when you talk about JetBlue, you said 7 years of history, and it could be their 7-year history. You said distress, delays, diversion. I like that. Implicit, explicit. I like the contrast there. You also said was a great food for thought, and it's not a food for the thought, and it should be food for thought. You introduced me to a word called countervail, which I didn't know what that meant. It's offsetting an effect by countering it with something of equal force. Andriy, what kind of smell that is? I believe it should be what kind of smell is that when you were saying that. Also, I liked when you were doing thumping and trumping, when you were describing the Irish dancers, gave us something to both picture in our mind and listen for. Bram, evals are the cornerstone of the program, and that's a terrific line. Jim, you used the word notorious, and I liked how you slowed it down when you said slowed it down. So great job, everybody. Back to you, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Marianne. Just before you go, how many of us used undefeated?
I think there was only 2.
Only 2, and one of them disqualified himself from the winning the best evaluator because he had to use it. No, all right, sorry, shouldn't do it. Moving on now to our R counter. Tiger, how did we go with the ums, the ahs, the extended pauses, the so's and such things?
Overall, we did very well. There was a contest between so's and ahs. Ah had a strong finish, and ah finally won out. One word, and this is Andriy, who is phenomenal, as Jim pointed out. He used really, really. Really is not a valuable word. It's a hard word not to use because it's so common. But to use really, really, wow, that's really, really not very valuable. But we did a great job. Overall, this was very good. Nobody had filler words to the point where it was distracting. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Mr. General Evaluator. That'll be me. Thanks, Tiger. Thanks very much for that. Watcher and chat monitor, Andrew, we're running out of time, but what have you got you can tell us?
I'll try to be very quick. I will also talk New York style, 450 words a minute, like an auctioneer. But the looking at the frames that everyone did, for the most part, everyone was dead center. Didn't have a lot of movement around. 2 comments. Kim has this fantastic lighting thing going on, but it can be considered distracting. It's got a lot of stuff happening there. Marianne, I don't know whether your seat is changing, but a lot of the time your head was going below your border where you have your name there. So you had 2/3 of your head not being shown. Sunny, it's nice to use the picture-in-picture feature from Zoom, but when you're not doing the time or putting something out there, you should probably switch off from that and put your head in the middle of your frame. So she took her head off altogether. Any event. So those are some of the things that I noticed as the watcher. As far as chatting goes, chatting was used primarily for identifying voting and working with the game that Marianne was doing. Other than that, not much else.
Fabulous. Thank you for that. Now let's get thank you, Andrew. Can we get the vote? The announcement of who won tonight, David.
We can. As a matter of fact, we'll jump in with table topics. Tiger, our guest and future member, whether he knows it or not. Sorry about that. Speaker, Andriy Smolenko, the once and future and always champion.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Mr. Timekeeper, for doing that. Now, we have no time left for a general evaluation, but you're going to get one anyway. We started, in fact, 20 minutes late. By the time the meeting itself began late, then we went through the very entertaining but quite time-consuming game show. It was actually 20 minutes after the schedule when we got to our first speaker. And that then left us with the problem that when we got to table topics, for example, I did suggest that we stop at a point, but then the table topics master asked if we had time for one more, which we didn't, but which we then did. We need to keep an eye on the agenda. There are times on the agenda that don't simply make sense. For example, if we don't get to the general evaluator until 8:43, it is physically impossible to do that and have us finish on time, which is why we are now 5 minutes over late, nearly. I want to make some comments about the meeting. One of them is timing. That's really important. For the evaluators, David today gave quite a good evaluation, but one suggestion I would make for David is don't give the evaluation all in the second person. It's not all you, because an evaluation should be a learning experience for us all. Something Jim did was he went from first to second person, which made everybody feel that they were learning something. Something that Jim did, and he knows better than to do this, to say, I have no advice to give you. There is always advice to give. And in fact, in the case of Andriy, he might have said, Andriy, you didn't actually deal with the second topic. You talked about how you could work around the second topic, but you didn't actually deal with the second topic. You might have just said that. There's always some form of improvement. The tip of the day, excellent use of technology. We did have some problems, but the reason that we're here in this club is to learn how to use this technology effectively. And so I can't criticize Sonny for that. And the Toastmaster, look, lots of fun, Kim. That really was an enormous amount of fun. And I know you put an enormous amount of work into it. Just bear in mind that if we are starting to run behind, I know at one stage you were going to ask a second question, and then you said, no, we can't do that because we're behind time. That's good. Well done. I always enjoy your role as Toastmaster because it's such fun. We're 5 minutes over. I'm going to call on the president now for any president's comments. Thanks, everybody, for everything that you did. It's all yours, David.
I think the president's comments are to please go to the website and sign up for a role next week, since we don't want to necessarily keep you and do that organization right now, unless Graham wants to do a little bit of it quickly, but getting a shake of the head. And I need to do this too. I think we all need to try and carve out a little bit of time. Today's Monday. Try and carve out a little bit of time on maybe Tuesday. I know it's already Tuesday for Graham, but the point is to carve out a little bit of time before Sunday, before Monday afternoon, to try and help make sure that our next meeting is a little bit better organized, and so that we make a good impression. We need to get some guests here, but when we get them, we also need to make a good impression on them by not being not flying quite as much by the seat of the pants. Anyway, but thank you everybody who did pull things together, and I heard, Kim was making phone calls, getting people lined up. So, we did a lot to make this a good meeting, and it was a good meeting, and thank you all for it.
Indeed. Thank you. Thanks, David. All right, everyone, I'm going to go and catch up with my wife, who was up there doing something on one of the other decks. I'm not quite sure, but I'll catch everybody next week. Please put yourself down for a role on the agenda. It'll be really good.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. And I can't speak.
Again, Kim,
I only signed up for evaluator late this afternoon, so I got to do better too.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you, everybody.
Kim,
care.
Please don't think I was being too critical. I really, really do enjoy the way that the programs go
Thank
when
you,
you were
everybody.
Toastmaster.
Here's Kim.
So
Yeah.
honestly, Graham, so super quick, and can we stop the recording?
Oh, sure.
Good idea.
Okay.